Dr. Phil, do you think President Biden should take a cognitive exam?
If you got people that have nothing to hide, hide nothing, so why not? I first started in 2002 with Dr. Phil.
You are Dr. Phil.
Well, that was a softball. I'm glad you hit it. I'm not talking about myself in the third person. I'm talking about the platform.
I get it. All right.
Try to keep up.
All right, sorry.
No.
Oh no, Testy. Is someone going to get their feelings hurt? Hey fam, welcome and welcome back to One and Done. So these two guys, I haven't really watched any of their stuff, and it seems like recently they're taking over my channel. So tonight's video is going to start off with a little bit of comic relief, and later on Dr. Phil and Bill Maher will be joined by Batya and Tim. And that's when things get a little bit more serious when we're talking about migrants, Muslims, auto workers, unions, and what sort of impact this has on Biden and Trump. Now before we jump in, if you want to help a brother out, help me get to the 1000 sub club, don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and share this video far and wide. Without delay, let's jump in and roll the tape.
First started in 2002 with Dr. Phil.
You are Dr. Phil.
Well, I just started to say, that was a softball. I'm glad you hit it. I'm not talking about myself in the third person. I'm talking about the platform.
I get it. All right.
Try to keep up.
All right, sorry.
No.
Oh damn, Bill Maher looks hurt. Dr. Phil's like, oh, this is your show, you think you're funny? You just slipped, now you're gonna get slapped. And Bill Maher did not look too happy about that, did he? And I didn't know Dr. Phil had that comedic timing. He's quite hilarious. Now Dr. Phil tries to get serious again and he talks about things are changing. With the advent of the internet, we have so many different things like cyberbullying, and people are becoming so much more sensitive, also known as snowflakes.
Think about how much things have changed since then. The internet's blown up, and
yes,
and there are predators online that we didn't have before. There's cyberbullying that we didn't have before. There's all of these scams we didn't have before. Bullies follow people home because of the internet. Kids can't escape it. Parents think their child's back in their bedroom just doing their homework, but they're getting bullied on these chat rooms. And also, things really changed, and I've changed with it. And now it's changing again. People are becoming really socially conscious and sensitive about narratives that are being pushed on them right now. Words you can't use, words you have to use.
Dr. Phil ain't wrong, is he? You gotta be so careful what you say. You never know who you might upset. You can't even pray in the streets these days. Not that I was going around in the streets praying or anything, but in the UK, a lady got arrested for praying inside her head. They couldn't even hear her. The police cuffed her and took her away. That's how ludicrous things are getting. Now, speaking of things you can't say, if you've heard of MAP or MAPS, they're taking this to the whole new level.
And I'm not just talking about pronouns and stuff. I'm talking about even the Justice Department doesn't want to call a felon a felon anymore. They want to call them justice-involved people. So your family member wasn't murdered. They intersected with a justice-involved person.
I smell a stand-up special for you.
MAPS, minor attracted people. Now, justice-involved person? That has such a nice ringtone to it, doesn't it? Why are people getting so sensitive? Even the criminals don't want to be called gangster anymore. They don't make them like they used to. Now, speaking of criminals, Joe Biden, the head of the Biden crime family, we see it before our eyes every day. Now they're wondering whether he needs a cognitive test. Talk about a softball question. And I think Dr. Phil is about to hit it out of the park.
Dr. Phil, do you think President Biden should take a cognitive exam?
If you got people that have nothing to hide, hide nothing, so why not?
Okay.
People have nothing to hide, hide nothing. We're talking about Joe Biden here. Come on, Dr. Phil. Now, apparently Bill Maher's asking this next question for a friend.
Dr. Phil again. What do you think of the increased popularity of polyamory and thruples?
It's insane.
Really?
Yeah. That doesn't work. I mean, people have enough trouble trusting one another in relationships as it is. If they're going to start adding in moving parts, that's not going to work.
Okay. But
It's never worked.
Okay. First of all, this is what bothers me about when people make these pronouncements about the way another person lives their life. It doesn't work.
asked me.
It doesn't work. But you didn't. But your answer was it doesn't work for me. Your answer was it doesn't work.
Now, to be fair, Bill, you did ask Dr. Phil, and he came straight out and said, that stuff doesn't work. People get their feelings hurt. And speaking of getting your feelings hurt, Bill Maher looks a little hurt because it's almost like he wasn't asking for a friend, he's asking for himself. Bill Maher says, hey, Doc, this may not work for you, but watch Dr. Phil's comeback.
What works for me
it doesn't work.
for you.
No, it doesn't
People
work.
are different.
I've never tried it. I don't know what it works for me or not.
But people have. And other people like it. We're all different. Would you not allow that we're all different and people have different tastes?
Well, no, you're just saying how you feel. I don't care how you feel. I barely care how I feel. I'm talking about the facts. The statistics prove that doesn't work in a relationship.
They have statistics on thruples?
Yes.
But I could throw that in your face and say marriage doesn't work either. More than half of the people get divorced.
That's not true.
Well, half.
No.
And the people who stay are not exactly thrilled. Let's move on.
You kept changing your answer. You finally got it right.
Well, I finally got it right. Okay, all right.
This is crazy stuff. So Bill Maher says, hey, but Dr. Phil, some people like this stuff. Dr. Phil says, not a lot of people like this. We got the statistics to show it. Bill Maher's blown away because he might be actually on that stat sheet himself. And Bill Maher thought he had to come back with marriages. Marriages fail. And he thinks marriages fail because they're not exactly thrilled. Bill, you're not thrilled unless you're getting a bit of you know what and then also smoking that wacky weed. Marriages and relationships are hard work, bro. Maybe it's because both parents are working. And once you have children, they bring so much joy. But yes, unlike rolling a joint, that also comes with responsibility. Now, switching gears, this is a subject that all conservatives are interested in. And Biden's been under pressure about his green energy policies that have ruined, well, maybe not ruined, had a negative impact on the energy sector.
Tim Ryan, is it a mistake for the Biden administration to stop exports of natural gas? Boy, talk about switching subjects.
Yeah.
You got the fun one.
Well,
Do they risk losing key voters to Trump?
yes, pausing the export of liquid natural gas. Natural gas is 40% of our energy system here in the United States.
Is that what Biden's doing now?
He put a pause on the export facilities.
Why?
Probably to try to get environmentalist votes. But the problem with that is that natural gas is 40% of our energy mix here. We saw the greatest decrease in carbon in the world in the United States. We led the world in reduction of carbon from 2005 to 19 because natural gas displaced coal. And now I think it's a good idea that we continue to do that and export it to the coal-producing countries around the world. That would get us 70% of the way. And it could potentially hurt them with working-class voters in Western PA where natural gas has been a huge industry.
What are your thoughts on gas?
Once again, Dr. Phil there with his comedic timing. But this is what we see all the time, isn't it? The so-called green bills and green energy works out that these policies don't turn out to be actually green friendly at all. And this is definitely a winner for Trump. Drill baby drill, frack baby frack. He's high on energy independence. That's a huge part of his campaign. Now, just to add to Joe Biden's misery, the Michigan Muslim community has come to the party and they seem to be stepping back from Joe Biden, approximately 100,000 of them.
Should Democrats be worried about the 100,000 uncommitted votes in the Michigan primary? Oh, yes, I read about this. Will protest votes over Biden's policy in Gaza cost him the election in the fall? If people don't know what we're talking about, Michigan just had a primary. Michigan has a large Muslim population. They're not too thrilled that Joe Biden is supporting Israel in its war. And so 100,000 people voted uncommitted. These are Democratic voters who apparently seem to be saying we are threatening to support Trump, a known lover of Muslims. But this is a wedge issue in the Democratic Party. The young people, the kids, and Muslim voters like this don't want him supporting Israel. Many other people do.
Trump loves Muslims, buddy. What are you talking about? I think Biden's got splinters in his butt at the moment because he's got a bet each way. But the Muslim voters and the young voters aren't happy with his support of Israel. But let's face it, Biden's got much more pressing issues. Is it going to be vanilla ice cream or chocolate? Now Batya, she's super based. She's going to explain that Biden has problems in Gaza, Israel, and also at home with the auto workers.
What are your thoughts?
I think that the media really, really wants to put this narrative out there that Biden is going to lose Michigan over Gaza, when the truth is he's going to lose Michigan over 600,000 auto workers, because his EV market was extremely punishing to auto workers. And like we said earlier, there's been this big realignment where working class Americans are very, very, very much on the Trump train, people who used to be Democrats and used to vote for Democrats. And rather than admit that, this outrage that Democrats lost the working class vote and try to figure out how we can appeal to them again, they're looking for excuses and other things to blame, like, oh, this war in Gaza, or they'll call them deplorables, or they'll call them racists, because they don't want to admit that Trump has picked up a lot of the policies that used to be Democratic policies in the 90s, like controlling the border, for example. The idea that an open border and mass migration is extremely punishing to the working class. It drives down their wages. It's class warfare against the working class. It is an upward transfer of wealth from the working class, who end up competing with immigrants, to the elites who end up employing them, and now they can employ cheap immigrants instead of having to pay working class Americans a living wage. Thanks, guys.
Damn, 100,000 Muslims and now 600,000 auto workers. So Dems have really lost the working class. And who have they got to blame? Well, I do blame the mainstream liberal media. People have lost trust and faith in any of the narratives they spin, but they also have themselves to blame because their policies suck. And we can see them in real time everywhere. They love Trump because he's strong on borders. He's protecting the workers. With all the illegal migrants coming into the workforce, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. As they should be, the Democrats are shaking in their boots.
As someone who's completely apolitical, how do you feel about that?
I love migrants. I think we've got to figure a way to get them in. And people will be very surprised how educated some of these people are that are coming across the border. I mean, they're much better educated than people give them credit for. They're not all just coming for agricultural jobs or whatever.
Right.
Now, they're coming for lots of reasons. It would be lovely to know what those reasons are for. That's the problem. We don't know what they're coming for. And there's no control or measures put in place to deal with the wrong ones. Now, Tim wants to get back on energy.
We are seeing an increased need in energy in the United States. Okay?
Right.
We need more energy here because of the reindustrialization that's happening in the country between data centers and manufacturing, whether it's building batteries, building electric vehicles, building chips now in places like Ohio, where we're finally reshoring chip manufacturing, is creating a huge demand for energy. And so, to just wave off Biden is not for the working class is, I think, really not fair. He has been the most pro-union president in the history of the United States of America, period.
Let me ask you something.
Period.
What percentage of private sector workers are unionized? I know you know the answer to this.
Yeah, well, it's growing is what you need to know.
Well, that's not the answer.
It is 6%.
What's the number?
Damn, Tim, you lost me. And I had so much faith in you. You just got exposed and called out by Batya. Now, Tim, take a seat and let this grown woman cook.
It's
6%.
more
and
like,
the reason for that, unions have never been as popular as they are now. Popular in terms of, you poll Americans, you say to them, how do you feel about unions? They feel really good about them, and they are not joining them. 6%. Why?
That is so
Why?
Why?
I'll tell you what.
That is so not true.
It is.
I speak at union conventions. Every union president I talk to, they say, we're putting 1,000 new members into our union shop. Go talk to the ironworkers.
Okay, but wait. I want to hear the answer why 6% if they say they like it.
Right. So why do they understand that? They understand that against a corporation, a worker has no power. They need collective bargaining.
Right.
They need representation. Why aren't they joining unions? I'll tell you why. Because in the 90s, the unions, which used to be very much pro-limiting immigration, did a 180 and decided that they were now going to support migration and mass migration. And as a result, union membership started to drop off. And so the unions show up and they say, we're for the workers, but we also support illegal workers. We also support mass migration. And in fact, when Trump sat down with the head of the Teamsters union, which was again historic because usually unions don't even talk to Republicans, he sat down with him and they had a disagreement over immigration. I mean, to his credit, Sean O'Brien sat down with Trump and then as a result of that meeting gave the RNC $45,000, again historic. Okay. Trump said, immigration is hurting workers. It's hurting union workers. And Sean O'Brien said, well, that's not our position.
Well, this migrant crisis is impacting everything. It's touching all people at all levels, all communities. And this is why Trump is so popular with the working class. They just want common sense policies, America first policies, policies that just make sense. Now, I'm not touching this next subject.
As a doctor, what do you think of the recent report that more women are psychopaths than previously thought? No. You saw the story.
It's so true.
No, did you see the story?
No, but I can firsthand testify that it's true.
Yeah. Did you see that story? More women are psychopaths than previously thought.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
See you next time.
All right. I guess you'll have to see it on his new network. What's it called?
Merritt Street Media.
Merritt Street Media. He's got a whole new operation going.
So there we have it, folks. Once again, Dr. Phil showing his comedic timing. So this is interesting. So Dr. Phil is Dr. Phil is carrying on with his Dr. Phil's carrying on with his red pilling. He went a little lighter tonight and showed us his comedic side. Now Bill Maher, again, he's showing us that he can display some common sense, but that TDS keeps getting in his way, doesn't it? And he did expose himself a little earlier about the polyamory situation. Now I thought Batya stole the show tonight. She was amazing and so based. I was impressed with Tim at first, but then Batya challenged him on his union stats and they all fell apart, didn't they? Or did they? Let me know in the comments section. I'll come in and respond as I normally do. Now, if you want to help a brother out, help me get to that 1,000 sub club. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on any of my videos. And share these videos far and wide. And I'll catch you in the next one.